Hey guys, how's everybody doing? Well, I'm going at this project here on this little car pretty fast and fast and furious, no pun intended. I want to get this thing going. I'm not going to stretch it out over weeks like the truck. Trucks was just something fun to do, but I really can use this car going, so we're going to get into this pretty quick and get things done that it needs to be done. And I do want to mention that, seen in an earlier video, my mini gripe video about the yard and the sign. Well, several days later, there's still no grass growing, and the sign is once again falling down. So anyway, right now what I'm doing is I've been looking at the front end of this car, taking the wheels off of it and such. You notice in the other video where me and Phil are bringing it home when we stopped at Red Robin and cutting up out there and having a good time. It's a nice old truck he's got. That I was mentioning that this front end of this car really drove bad. I mean, bad. And it vibrated pretty bad over about 30 or 40 miles an hour. And today was the first time I've had the opportunity to really look at it. And my first suspicion on that was probably maybe an axle was going bad, because when you have a CV axle that's got a bad inner joint, not the outer but the inner, they will vibrate like that under acceleration. But wasn't sure about it, and I also heard some rattling up front. So I made a few discoveries and I'll show you those. The first thing I did, though, to isolate that it was not something wrong with the tires or the wheels, is I rotated the tires front to rear, and would you believe it or not, that cured the vibration. Even though, well, I'll show you the tires. Tires are terrible. These tires are all shot. We'll take a look at those in a second, but that was what it was. And you know, that happened on this car too. It had some really worn down tires on the back of it, and it would, anytime you stepped on the gas, it'd just vibrate like it had a drive shaft going bad in it. And put new tires on it, they fixed it. So evidently that's the same deal here. I guess cars are just really sensitive to that. So turned out the axles and everything are fine on it. They appear to be, because I like I said, I took it on my 4-mile test circuit around here, and it totally went away. But the one thing I noticed when I had I'm sorry I didn't do a video just to that, but when I had this wheel off, I noticed the tie rod end was really worn out. The boot was split and looked like the grease had all come out of it. So it's going to have, you really needs 2 tie rod ends. This one over here is not loose, but the boot is split and it's irked its grease out, but it's not loose. The other one's actually, you can move the the hub back and forth and you can just see it in there. So that's that will definitely need to be replaced right away. And everything else actually looks okay under here, with one exception. Like I said, I kept hearing a rattle when I go over bumps, and a lot of stuff on the internet talks about the sway bar end links, and that's what these things here are. These simple little bar, that's the sway bar there that goes across the car, and up in there, I can't really show it to you, but up in there it's got a couple large brackets that connect it to the car, and they've got rubber in there, and so they hold that thing in place. But these, this sway bar has to have some flex in it, so it's got these little articulating, I guess, joints. I've got kind of a almost like a tie rod in there on that end and this end, so they can rotate and look like that and move and stuff and kind of move, so not solid. But that said, I think this is my rattle, because it's hard to do. I probably can't do it very well, but you can hear kind of a noise in there. Let's see if I can do it. I have to pull on this to take the Hear that? That's that joint worn out here. So every time the suspension is working, that thing is moving around and rattling. So that appears to be the extent of it. None of the boots on the axles are busted, and they seem tight. This is the one this car's got. This car's a little bit different from a Mazda or something. It's, you know, it's got a Mazda transmission in it, but did you know that? It's got a real short stub axle on this side. This is the driver's side, and the transmission's right in there. And then it has a really long passenger side axle, which comes out of the transmission, and it goes straight out, and it's got a carrier bearing with a retainer, and then it's got this part from there on. So it's really unusual. Never seen one that had a carrier bearing in it, but like I said, that all it seems like that's okay, because the tires, evidently, and I'll show you that tire, but these tires are all, they've got tread on them for the most part, but they're all kind of cracked. And I was looking at the DOT codes on it. Like for instance, this one's, if you can see that, DOT, and you come over here, 3206. That means, if the way you read that, these last 4 digits, that's the week of the year, and that's the year. So these were produced probably 2/3 of the way through 2006. And this one back here is, let's see if I can find it. That one's not that bad, but it's cracked too. Crack kills, man. Let's see if I can find the one on this. Yeah, there it is. This one is DOT 0107, so first week of 07. So that one's 7 years old, that one's 8 years old. This one looks the best, but it's still, again, cracked and old. Because tires, you know, they age, even if they're not used that much, they age. And when they get aged like this, they're subjected to total and sudden failure. Now, this one doesn't have, this got a DOT on it down there, but it's not got the date on it. It's probably on the back. And this is the worst one. This is the one that was on the front. This is evidently, man, look at that. It's evidently got structural problems, but this one's 12th week of 06, so it's almost 9 years old, so 8.5 years old, so it has to go away. I'll probably run that one, and I don't know, maybe the existing one back here on the back for a little while, and just buy 2 fronts. Tire store, if you take a car in and have 2 tires put on it, I insist on putting them in the back instead of the front. I wanted to do that. I bought those for the Infiniti 2 different weeks, and I told them, I said, I want you to put the 2 new tires on the front, leave the 2 old ones in the back. I said, oh no, well, AJ suggested you put the 2 new ones in the back. I said, whatever. I wasn't gonna fight with them. I said, I'll just rotate them when I get home. Like that. Well, they got it up there, and the backs were so worn out they're almost slick. And they brought me out there and said, well, we're not gonna be able to put these on the back because we can't rotate these up. I said, okay, that's why I asked you to put them on the front. I said, well, okay, we'll go on front. So they did. So anyway, I usually go to Pep Boys down here by the house. It's not that far away. And I know buddy Robert DIY, you can find him in my subscriptions. He had a video where he had kind of a bad experience with Pep Boys, but this one down here has been fine. They don't ever try to push me to do other stuff. When I had the tires put on, that car has an oil change sticker from about the first of the year, which it's been changed several times since then. He said, well, bring it back, we'll change that oil for you. I was like, well, thanks for the offer. He said, yeah, it probably needs to be done. I said, oh, are you looking at that sticker? I said, that sticker's old. I said, that's been changed since then. He said, oh, okay. That's it. Usually they do pretty good. So I may just carry these in the back of the truck. Just take 2 of them off and drop them, because otherwise I have to sit there and wait in the waiting room, and I could be better served doing something else. So, all right, guys, I think I'm going to jump in the old truck out there and make one more trip to LKQ and pick up a couple things I didn't get yesterday. I'm going to get another coolant recovery tank, expansion tank. That one's bad. I'll show you that in another video. It's been leaking, can't even see in it. I'm going to get that, and I guess I'm going to go ahead and get a sway bar end link and one of the caps for the wheels is busted, so get that one. I already got one yesterday. I guess I'll go get another one, and I think that's about it. So I'll come back from that and do that, and so this thing, maybe we'll get this thing on the road this week. I still got to do one day coming up. I'll get the oil and filter and air filters and all that, but yeah, I got a couple things to show you under the hood too. Somebody's been in there kind of messing with some vacuum lines, I think, trying to repair some vacuum lines and stuff, so I'll show you a little bit on that. These cars always, you know, it's like every car. It's like that car there, that Infiniti. They all have the same problems, little problems. This one's no exception, you know. It's sway bar end links and the blower motor and the you know, vacuum lines and stuff like that. Motor mounts are terrible. Motor mounts are shot on this thing. I mean, it is shot. It's like it doesn't even have any. It vibrates, man. Whew. So everybody says, I don't know what I'm going to do there. You're supposed to replace all 3 of them, and I can get a real good deal on the internet and get them, all 3 of them as a package deal. But the thing is, everybody's saying, well, if you buy the cheap ones, they're not going to last and they're going to bust, because that one's got you got to get the Ford one. And you know, I'm thinking to myself, everybody says, oh, the Ford one lasts a lot longer. Well, I'm thinking that if a motor mount goes out in 70, I've seen it 70, 80, 90,000 miles, it didn't last that long, because that one's the one that's it's got a big single mount on the right side. I'll show you that in another video. That's a hydraulic mount. It's got oil in it, and it's kind of, the way it works is it's the piece that's at the bottom that goes up, where the stud is not physically, mechanically connected to the rest of the mount. I mean, it's kind of like it's a shock absorber type of a deal. And they've also got a thing called I think it's called a torque limiter, but people call them a dog bone. Anyway, it's just a piece of aluminum with 2 big bushings in it, and it's at the back, and it keeps the engine from rocking too much. And then it's got just a normal, under the battery, it's got our air box, it's got a normal rubber and metal mount that are made together, safety mounts. So people say that it's kind of a cascading effect, from what I've read, that when that one goes bad, it's either 1 or 2 of the other ones go bad, and they cause the right side one to go bad. And if you try to just replace the right side mount, the big one, by itself, and you don't fix these 2, then they continue to let the engine move too much, and it tears that one up. So we'll find out. Maybe I'll be a test bed, and I'll put it on YouTube whether the mounts fail or not. So anyway, just a little fun thing to do, guys, while the weather's nice. And I got an appointment with a ear, nose, and throat doctor is what I need to have. All this throat clearing, that's just comes from sinuses and eating. Every time I eat, I have to there's a car there, I have to do that, but I don't smoke. Anyway, I've got the throttle cable coming for the dart back there, so I haven't forgot about that. I just kind of work on it, you know, pick away at it. Alright, thanks for watching. We'll see you in another one. Bye.